11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think Guerrero won it. Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
What's going on, everybody? D-Style here. Thanks to everyone joining me live, and to those that be joining me on the archive. You're listening to the archive. Hit the like button. Wanted to go ahead and do this video. Shout out to Andy Rodriguez, and thank you for being a member as well, brother. Good evening, D-Style. He says, good evening to you. I've had a long day, but I'm here, and I want to talk this box. So let's talk this boxing. Specifically, Tszyu versus Bryan Mendoza will be in the Gold Coast over there in Australia. Here in the U.S., it will be in our primetime hours as always. It's early morning, or I don't know how early exactly, but it's in the morning or close to afternoon over there in Australia Sunday, right? So you could still catch in the primetime hours. I know there's a lot of attention on the Misfits boxing. It's not for me. Different strokes for different folks. I like world-class boxing. That's what we're going to talk about today. I like this fight. I've been liking this fight. I remember this was a couple of months ago, and this was actually before the Ocampo fight was announced. I remember talking to my friend Joe. A big shout out to him from Ringside Report on the phone, and I said, you know what? I would really like to see Bryan Mendoza, get the opportunity to fight Tszyu. I mean, it looks like he earned it. He wasn't expected to win, quote unquote, according to the odds makers against Rosario, which was surprising, but in hindsight, it's easy to say. But nonetheless, and especially Fundora. I mean, he was not expected to beat Fundora, guys. He just wasn't. You know what I mean? Like point blank. But nonetheless, he did, and in a very impressive highlight reel knockout, right? It's up there, like as one of the best knockouts I've seen in recent years. It was maybe it's the sight of it, the tall, lengthy, Fundora just timbering down, and just the way he hurt him and then finished him was great, right? So it's a fight I wanted, like when he fought Ocampo, but he fought Ocampo. Didn't have an issue with the fight because everyone kind of assumed, well, that's who he's going to fight because he's getting ready to, fight Jermell, right? But unfortunately, the Jermell fight didn't happen. We know the story behind that, and that's unfortunate. As a fight fan, it's a fight I wanted. You know what I mean? Like that's what I wanted. But nonetheless, here we are, right? Bryan Mendoza coming off two wins where he was expected, according to the odds makers, to lose, right? At least I believe about the Rosario. I could be wrong about that one, but I believe he was the underdog for that one. But definitely the Fundora fight. But he comes out on top. He comes out with, impressive victories in terms of the finality of it, right? Finale of it. And now he is here, right? He is the interim WBC champion, right? Well, sit back and relax, Brian. Sit back and relax, and I'm telling you what he's done. Whether it's impressive to you or not, I don't know, right? I'm just telling you what he's been doing lately. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, here we are. We have Tszyu getting ready to square off, and he's going to defend his WBO championship. He has now been elevated as a WBO champion. He's been the interim champion, and since they stripped Jermell, he has not defended the belt since he captured it from Castano in the undisputed matchup. I believe that was May of last year, right? And now that he fought Canelo, we're not even going to see him till next year. He might end up in 2 years not fighting in his weight class if he ever fights in a weight class again. It's time to move on. We now have a WBO champion. I wish they would have elevated Mendoza as WBC champion, and this could have been a unification, but it is what it is, right? Now, there's a precedent for unifying, I guess, for unifying, interim belts, but it's technically not the belt, right? But if Tszyu could technically become the interim champion, maybe we could get some moving parts here. Jesus M, how's it going, brother? How you doing? Bruce Gass, how's it going? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm hearing a lot of this, and I get it. I'm hearing like Jesus is saying, look, split decision. I don't see it. You have a right to your opinion, of course, and you might be, or who knows, right? We're all predicting here. None of us have a crystal ball. We're just guessing, right? It's educational. It's educated. I'm sorry, guesses. But nonetheless, I'm going to tell you what I think, and I believe that this is going to be a tough fight for Tim, but not in a sense where like it's like the fight is hanging in the balance, or it looks like Tim might lose the fight or anything like that. I think it's going to be tough in a sense that Mendoza is going to provide resistance. I think Mendoza is going to at least early win a round or two, and I think he's coming to win, and he's hungry, right? I also don't think he's going to go away as quickly like an Ocampo. He's going to get hit with some big shots. He's still going to be there, and Mendoza could do. He could box fairly well on the move, right? Against Jesus Ramos, he was moving pretty well until Ramos started hitting the body with his. When Ramos started hitting the body on Mendoza's whole game plan started to fall apart. He started to get on his bicycle more, started to move more, right? The body work of Ramos did slow him down. And Mendoza got warned because he was holding a lot because he ran out of gas in that fight. He made it to the end, but that's the reason the scorecards are so wide. Like Ramos really separated himself from like round 6 on. He really separated himself and made a statement, in those last few rounds against Mendoza. And that's why you look at the scorecards and people kind of forget what happened in the first 4 or 5 rounds, right? It was more competitive up until Jesus Ramos started hitting the body. And Jesus Ramos, while he applied pressure and it was effective and he clearly won, I think, keep in mind, what was that, like a 20-year-old or 21-year-old, Jesus Ramos, still green, and he kind of figured out the puzzle pretty quick. Can you guys not hear me? Let's do a quick, or is this just 92 AKU? Really quick, can you guys hear me? Can somebody just tell me if you can hear me, please? Give me a second, guys. I just need a quick yes so I can hear you. I cannot hear you. Nobody can hear me? Are you serious? Okay, somebody say, okay, it's you, 92 AKU. 92 AKU comes on and he's like, no sound. And I'm like, what? Have I been talking for the last 9 minutes for nothing? It's you, brother. Somebody type in the chat, it's you, 92 AKU, right? Here's what I see happening in this fight. A lot of people are assuming because Mendoza's last name is Mendoza, and that he's got like the roots, right? Like they think it's gonna come out and and fight Mexican style, and he's gonna pressure Tim Tszyu. He's gonna meet Tim Tszyu in the middle, and it's gonna be an inside fight, and it's gonna be like because I've been hearing people like kind of allude to that, like it's gonna be this like no one's gonna take a backward step, and they're gonna land bombs, and like that's not. I'm telling you right now, that's not what's gonna happen. I'm just put a stop to that right now. That is not what's gonna happen. Bryan Mendoza is going to be circling that ring. That's what he's going to be doing. All right. And he's likely going to be circling towards the left of Tim Tszyu, more than likely. Okay. And Tim Tszyu, maybe, but that's where it's kind of maybe. But or he might do both. He might move right and left. I'm just thinking he's going to move left. And I do think maybe for a round or two, Mendoza's going to be a little elusive. I think he's going to be a little, because he could box pretty decently, Mendoza. Like, I think people just think he's going to come forward, brawl, rah, rah. Like that's not what he's going to do. He's going to come out. And I know, Chicano Prophet out here was like, oh, yeah, with the Mexican flags. Like I know what people are expecting. He's not going to meet Tim Tszyu in the middle of the ring and duke it out. That's not what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now that this is going to be a more methodical fight at the beginning of the fight. I think Tim Tszyu will be leading the action. I think Mendoza will be circling the ring. And Mendoza's going to look to circle the ring. And he'll probably do a decent job staying away from the ropes, which he needs to do in this fight, right? And when Tim Tszyu gets close, he's going to have a high guard. And again, he's going to circle. He's going to find the escape route, right? To get back at mid-range, facing Tim, but while being on the move at the same time, right? That's going to be what he's going to try here, okay? And he might even be successful for a round or two. And he's going to try to get the nice counter on Tim, right? While Tim's coming in very similar to how Gushea caught him, right? And who knows, he might even clip Tim Tszyu, all right? He might even, I don't think he's going to buzz him or anything, but I think he's going to catch his attention maybe. But I just think Tim Tszyu is just a little too methodical. He's very patient, right? And he applies constant pressure, right? From mid-range, he's always close to you, right? And I think Mendoza's going to feel that while he's on the move, right? He's got to be careful about moving to his left, right? He's got to be very careful because Tim could catch him with the right hand, right? But I do think he's going to try to get Tim to get a little wild. If Tim lands something, he tends to, at least in the Ocampo fight, which was recent, he just started going bombs away and it kind of threw caution to the wind. Now the punches landed and he took them out, but maybe Mendoza thinks, okay, if he lands something, I can back up a little bit, I can create some space, and I can catch him with a counter, right? And you saw him against Fundora, like Fundora was throwing his shots, awkward angles. We all know how Fundora fights. Fundora, very long, but fights on the inside. And that's where it was kind of forcing the action against Mendoza. But it was Mendoza that was trying to create space, trying to land the hook. He was getting closer and closer and kept missing it by a little bit. But finally, he landed a nice hook and it hurt Fundora. Now, obviously, it's going to be different against Tim, right? Tim's not going to come in throwing punches from every angle and punches in bunches like that, like Fundora, and then leaving himself squared up to that degree, right? But could there be a moment where Tim Tszyu could square up a little bit, just enough for a split second, for Mendoza to land that counter, right? He's going to try to create that space. Boom, you get him with the counter. That's what I think Mendoza's going to do, but I think you got to do more with a fighter like Tim. Like I think he's just gonna have to do more than that. Um, I think Tim is gonna be working the body early. I think he's gonna invest in the body, and I really don't think Tim's gonna have a hard time cutting off the ring on Mendoza. Um, I think he's gonna cut off the ring. Um, it might take him a round and a half or so, but I think he'll effectively do it. Tszyu doesn't tend to follow his opponents, right? He tends to align himself with the opponents at all times. You step this way, he steps right with you, right? Use your right foot to step this way. I'm going to use my left foot to step this way. He stays in front of you, right? And he knows how to cut off those corners to make the ring smaller. And I'm pretty sure I should have maybe looked this up. I don't know what the ring size is, but I think this might be a small ring, and that's going to make it even easier for Tim. Now, one may say, "What do you mean? I mean, Mendoza's going to come to fight. You guys think he fights the way like Fundora has a way out of all the deficiencies he's got and all that. Fundora has a way to make dudes fight. Fundora made Lubin fight. Lubin started very well boxing early, but then Fundora just the sheer volume and and forcing the fight on the inside and just swarming the opponents like he does forces you to fight, right? So in that fight, Mendoza was in a war, right? Mendoza was kind of forced to have to fight back. With Tszyu, he's going to have a little bit of an issue because despite what people tell you, you keep hearing, oh, Tszyu's defense is questionable. He's there to get hit. Very vague statement. I mean, what does that even mean? He's there to get hit. If you look at every fighter, right, they all get hit. But what I challenge you to do, look for me. How often does Tszyu get successfully hit with a 1-2? That when the jab lands and then they come with the straight down the pipe and land it. How often does Tim slip the jab but then gets hit with the right hand or straight left if it's a southpaw? How often does that happen? How often have you seen Tszyu get hit with 3 consecutive punches? Now, I'm not saying it always happens, but how often do you see that? Tszyu is always ready. The way he's got his stance, he's always balanced, regardless of this is what he shares with his father, right? They're not bouncy fighters. They're not like on their toes like that, right? But what they are is they're always in position, regardless of what Tim is doing, whether he's leaning forward this way, leaning back this way, right? Whether he's moving his head or whatever it is, right? If he's stepping forward, if he's stepping back, he's always in position to sit and shoot, always, all right? And almost his punches all have very good leverage on them, right? At all times. And he's got very underrated reflexes. Very underrated. Tszyu has really good reflexes. I saw that in the Harrison fight. I saw that in the Gachet fight. People keep saying, oh, he's there to get hit. Yet he got hit less than Harrison did. Yet everybody wants to talk about what great of a boxer and how great defensively sound Harrison is. Yet he was outboxing Harrison and landing more shots on Harrison. Everyone would say, all these American fighters like Gachet, the defense is so good, yet he was landing more on his individuals, and they were landing on him. Everybody wants to rest on that knockdown. I get it, At the end of the day, the knockdown stands as evidence, something you could look at, but has it happened again? Has anybody capitalized on that again? Wow, I think Mendoza's going to be that guy. Well, good luck. Gachet himself couldn't capitalize on it again after he landed it. It tells me Tszyu made an adjustment in that fight. I think Tim, his timing is really good. And the reason that it helps him defensively, if you're his opponent, you're in front of him, and you see something, let's say you're Harrison and you're throwing a jab, you're jabbing and you realize this is the only punch I'm landing, but every time I try to throw a straight or an overhand right or a hook, he clocks me every time because he's ready for the follow-up at all times. That makes the opponents very hesitant. And I think that's what you're going to see with Mendoza. Mendoza is not as fast as Harrison. That's number one, although he does hit harder. I think Mendoza, you could definitely say, is faster than Ocampo, I would say. But I think he's going to be retreating early in this fight, looking to land a big counter shot. And I don't think it's going to come. I think it's going to get methodically broken down. That's what's going to happen. I think Tszyu can invest to the body. I think while Mendoza's circling, Tszyu's going to time the shots right in the middle of the stomach. Okay, I think Tim, very underrated body puncher, by the way. And he's a pressure fighter. And it's constant pressure, right? And he doesn't get inside necessarily to where you can grab him and hold him. He's just right there. It's that mid-range, constant pressure, always in front of you. And it fatigues you mentally, it fatigues you physically. And it's always going to be right in front of him at all times. And while Mendoza is trying to circle the ring and Tszyu is cutting off the ring, shortening making that ring smaller, right? As he cuts off any potential exit. Because Mendoza's going to try to get those mitts up and try to look for a quick exit to kind of reset the whole dynamic. Tim's going to be the ring general here. He's going to control where Mendoza's going. Because I think he has the better footwork. He doesn't bounce around like that. Yet it's more efficient. Right? It's more tactical. Right? And I think efficiency matters. Efficiency is important. Because the more efficient you are, the less energy you use. And that's another thing Tszyu does very well. He's very efficient with his energy in a fight. Energy is fight night. There's only so much of it you have in a fight, right? And I have yet, till this day, to see Tim breathing heavily in a corner to the point where he looks exhausted. I have yet to see Tim have to rely on getting a second wind. And it's there that one day a fight will get him there, and he still has more to his stamina. But what I'm saying is going to be more efficient, right? Mendoza's going to use more energy and more movement while he's circling the ring. But Tim is going to be efficient with his movement, right? Mendoza may do a bounce, and Tim's just going to slide right through to cut off that ring. And even if no punches are thrown, Mendoza's going to be, using more energy here, right? To try to find that escape route in this fight. And I think Tszyu's efficiency is going to be a very big factor as to why I believe Mendoza's going to get tired by the mid rounds. I think his legs are not going to, his legs are going to feel heavy. And then the tax of the body punching of Tim and the constant pressure of Tim and the mental fatigue he's going to feel, having trouble figuring out the timing of Tim. See, Tim's very, and he does feint. They're very subtle feints, but when he shoots, it's very hard for the fighters to figure out when he's going to shoot the straight. They have a very hard time figuring, like Harrison had trouble with it, right? And then when he lands, he's in position to land his next shot, right? You see, Tim doesn't he's not a pattern guy. He's not. It's not like he's not like, okay, I'm gonna shoot my straight, and then he has it kind of programmed. Okay, jab, right, hook. That's what I'm gonna throw, and then like, you know what I mean? 1, 2, 3. Like that. That's not what Tim does. Tim shoots, and depending what you do in that moment, right, it's gonna dictate what he does next. That could mean he backs up and moves out of the way, right? But what Tim's trying to figure out is, you see, and this happened in the Harrison fight. He lands a nice right hand, right? Harrison's hurt, right? And he's in position. Like, he kind of crouches down a little bit. And what happens? Tim's right there. He's always in position to follow up with a jab, a hook, or even an uppercut. And he found the uppercut, landed a triple, right? You see, that is what Tim does very well. And I don't know if a fighter like Mendoza is ready for that. You know what I mean? I don't know if Mendoza, and look, Mendoza's going to fight him, so he could prove me wrong. You know what I mean? But I don't know if Mendoza's ready for that. You see, this is another level. And yeah, you can move around the ring and it may work for you, but and try to create that space and wait for Tim to miss and get him with a counter, right? I think that's what Mendoza's going to do. Or even if it lands on me, I'm going to roll the shot, or I'm going to back up, and I'm going to create some space and find my opening. I think that's what Mendoza's going to do. Mendoza's not going to step to him like people think. I think that comes later. You know what I mean? I think, and here's another thing. Mendoza, he's good at getting on the inside holding if he needs to, but holding doesn't work with Tim. It doesn't work. Tim's a very, very strong fighter. You know, like, he's physically strong in there. It may not look that way, right? He doesn't look like a big, massive 154 pounder like that, right? But he's a strong dude. Shout out to ASIC 101, JC, Remy, Hyper Spaz, all you guys. When Mendoza starts getting tired, he's going to try to hold him. He's going to try to maybe leap with a hook and hold, or jab, hold, or to try to frustrate Tim that way. And it's not going to work. Tim's going to, I don't think Tim's going to rely on the ref to break it up or anything. Tim is going to use the attempted holding to his advantage. If not, mull him himself. Very similarly to how he did to Jeff Horn. He mauled Jeff Horn, right? Jeff Horn was trying to make it ugly, hold him. And Tim was like just flawless in there. Crawford did the same thing, right? But we all know the quality of Crawford, right? And Tim was able to do something similar to what Crawford did against a Jeff Horn that roughed up a Manny Pacquiao, for example, right? So the holding's not going to work. The movement's not going to work. The holding's not going to work. And I think what's going to happen is Bryan Mendoza's going to have to make a decision in this fight, right? Okay, you know what? Trying to set up the counter isn't working. Tim's timing's too good. He's hitting me to the body, right? He's going to try to set up. Watch. He's going to try to set up. And I believe Tim knows this probably. He's going to try to set up a shot upstairs while Tim goes to the body. Fighters can get prone to headshots when they attack the body, right? But I think Tim's ready for that. You know, and it's not just going to be the body anyway. I mean, Tim's going to be landing upstairs, downstairs. Like I said, when Tim lands, it's in the moment, right? He's not a pattern guy. He's figuring out what he's going to do next after every shot is landed. You know what I mean? Chicano Prophet is capping right now in the chat. That's cap, bro. But okay, put money on it. It's a lot of money on Bryan Mendoza by knockout. Look, I'm just putting that out there. If you believe he's going to win. Tim, is very explosive, right? So when he's in the ring, it doesn't look like he's a quick guy. He's kind of moving methodically, very similar to his father, right? Although I feel he has a little more pep to his step than his dad, a little bit. Okay. But nonetheless, very methodical. But then out of nowhere, boom, he just explodes, right? And I think Mendoza's gonna have a hard time timing like Aztec said in the chat. He changes speeds very well. Okay. I think Mendoza's going to have to make a decision in the middle of this fight. And that's going to determine whether it goes distance or it gets stopped. And that decision's going to be, I've been forced into a fight here. I'm trapped. I'm going to have to fight my way out of this. Right? And look, Mendoza's dangerous if he's forced to fight. We saw that he knocked out Fundora that way. He's going to have to make a decision. And the decision is, I'm going to have to fight here. I'm going to have to step to Tim, try to smother his work a little bit, try to get on the inside, land those body shots, and maybe hold him here and there. Or like, I don't think that's going to work. But so he may just have to rely on fighting him from mid range on the inside and try to rough up Tim, right? Like let's see if Tim can. Let me see if I could take it to a back alley here. Let me see if I could turn this into a back alley brawl, right? And let's see if this Australian fighter can deal with me, getting in there and making it ugly, right? Not ugly like an ugly fight, but like roughing up Tim, right? And digging to the body, maybe exchanging with Tim, which is dangerous. But if you could try to force some exchanges, I mean, you're stepping into the line of fire, but you got power yourself, and that might be your best shot to win. You may hurt Tim. You may wobble him, right? You may buzz him. You may drop him. You may knock him out. But you got to be willing to it's going to have to be baptism by fire. And it's going to have to make that decision, I believe anyway, the way I believe this fight's going to go. He's going to have to make that decision in the middle of this fight. Because I don't think, like I said, very underrated boxer, Mendoza, but I don't think it's going to work, right? Tim's seen a better boxer in Harrison, right? He's seen a better jab in Harrison. The difference is Mendoza's got power, right? And I don't know if Mendoza escaping with the mitts up is going to work. I think that's going to be like Tim's going to have a field day landing those body shots, right? Because whenever especially when he gets against the ropes, it's very high, the guard. He puts on a very high guard and it exposes the torso. And I think Tim's is gonna capitalize on that because Tim is instinctual in that way. It's in that moment, right? Tim throws a jab and you put your mitts up, right? He's gonna see the body exposed. He knows the body's gonna be exposed, and that's where he's gonna go next. If you cover the body, he'll go upstairs, right? What he's going to do depends, right, on what you do, ultimately, right? They're not pattern punches what Tim is throwing here, right? He's moving methodically, right? He's setting it up. Shout out to Mom Food Plan and things. Shout out to JC and Boxing Kangaroo in the building. How's it going? So that's not going to work. Trying to make it ugly by clinching and maybe jab, cross, hold. That's not going to work on Tim either. I think Tim, being as strong as he is, with his father's genetics, quite frankly, and the way he could, like, I think he will maul Mendoza, quite frankly. I don't think Mendoza really wants that. The holding won't work. Not to mention Kenny Bayless is a ref. He's going to break it up immediately anyway, even if that's the case. Mendoza got warned for constantly holding against Ramos. Again, I think he's going to get tired faster in this fight. I think his legs are going to get tired. I think he's going to try the holding out. I don't think that's going to work, right? Again, I'm just giving you guys what I think is going to happen in the fight. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but I think I'm going to be right. Let's come full circle. the decision. He's going to have to sell out, right? Mendoza's going to have to make a decision. Do I just survive and go to distance and say, hey, I went the distance with Tszyu, right? Now, you're still going to get hunted down. You might get knocked out anyway, right? That might still happen. Or do I want to do I want to give myself a chance here, right? If I'm destined, am I destined for this? Fuck it. When it hits me, I'm going to hit him right back. Or fuck it. I'm going to try to be first, right? Let's see if I could force some exchanges here. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can follow up with something. When I land, let me just try to follow up. Right? Try to overwhelm him. Like see what happens. That's going to happen. Like Mendoza's going to have to make that decision at some point. In every fight, by the way, this is not unique to this fight. It happens in every fight. Jermell knew very early in the Canelo fight, do I just survive? Which is what he decided to do. Or do I sell out here? Do I try to make something happen? Right? He didn't do that, right? Like every fighter is different. I think Mendoza's gonna go for it. Look, I do. And I think by doing so, we're gonna get some exciting rounds, and he might land some big shots on Tim in the process. But I think we're gonna get several knockdowns by Tim. I think Mendoza will go down. Tim is a really good finisher. He's going to follow up. Mendoza might get out of that round, and I think he gets stopped right after that. I think Mendoza probably protests the stoppage. He might complain to the ref, but he's going to want to continue, right? But I believe it'll be a good stoppage. Is what I think. Okay. Now, again, I'm just telling you what I believe is going to happen. The other scenario is that he does the opposite and tries to survive. If he does that, Tim is still going to hunt him down, right? I don't know if he'll get the stoppage or not, but Tim's going to hunt him down. And he may not get the result he wants doing that because Tim is, again, going to tire him out early. And it's going to full 12. And Mendoza may be just hanging in there. He's going to be just hanging in there in the last few rounds, pretty much, right? So that's what I think. But we'll see, okay? That's a scenario that could happen. I don't see happening. And one more scenario, which I think is the unlikely thing to happen, all right? Maybe Mendoza sees something, right? And he figures out Tszyu. He's able to get his timing down, and he successfully counters Tim successfully and hits him with some good shots, hurts Tim, and then, it's a whole different fight after that, and then Mendoza wins by a shocking stoppage or something, right? I just don't think that's going to happen. You know what I mean? But that's the only way I see Mendoza winning. If he has that timing of Tim figured out, or if he figures it out in the fight and hurts him with something big. Not impossible, because Mendoza is a big puncher. Should I call him a big puncher? Ramos said he was a solid puncher, but even he was shocked at the way he knocked out the Towering Inferno. But he's got a punch that could hurt you. I mean, let me just put it that way, right? He has punching power that you have to respect. I'll put it that way. All right. But I am telling you right now, man, I'm all in. My chips are all in with Tszyu, bro. Like, they're all in. I think he's going to cut off the ring successfully. I think he's going to do it by working the body. He's going to shorten the ring. He's going to be more efficient with his movement. I think there's going to be a lot of excessive movement by Mendoza. Okay, while he circles the ring, while he tries to exit, try to find the exit. I think Tim's going to get him against the ropes. Mendoza's guard gets a little too high, and that's going to leave his torso open for Tim to attack. I think Tim will, as the fight progresses, the percentage landed's going to go up. And I think Tim's going to be landing like in the 50th percentile by the time they stop the fight. I do. Because he's going to be putting punches together, and Mendoza's going to have a lot of issues with that, in my opinion. Okay. I think it's going to be a systematic breakdown. Okay. And I know boxing historian, AK Bryan, said earlier he's going to get stopped, and I agree with that. I do think Bryan Mendoza gets stopped in this fight. You know, I think his legs are going to get tired. I think he's going to tire out. There is a blueprint to go at him, right? And I think Tim can execute it to the T. And Mendoza's holding is not going to work, and I believe he'll try to make a fight of it, right? Which is his best shot to win, quite frankly. You know, and I think Tim knocks him out. The question is, if you're Bryan Mendoza, do you jump on Tim early? Like, do you like? Because I don't think he's going to do. I'm just putting out. I don't believe Bryan Mendoza is going to jump on Tim. I don't. I just want to tell you, I don't think he's going to do that. But what I want to ask the chat, what I want to ask you guys, would that be smart? Like, if he just does a blitz on Tszyu early, right? Just blitz him. It goes right at him. Can that work? Right? Is that maybe his best shot to win? Right? Can that catch Tim by surprise? And boom, you hurt him, you wobble him, and even if you don't knock him out, like you set the stage for the remainder of the fight, you could throw his equilibrium off maybe, or you know, just hurt his jaw, or hit him with a body shot that takes his wind out of his sails. Like, I think that's a horrible game plan against a fighter like Tszyu. It's my opinion. But is it something that Mendoza might do? I mean, I don't believe so, right? But it'll be interesting to see if that's something that he tries, right? But that is that. One plate says these styles going for Mendoza. No, I'm not. What are you talking about? But I got Tszyu winning this fight mid to late round stoppage, guys. Unless Mendoza really goes negative and completely lets you counter profit down and that just makes a decision that he's going to survive, he might either get stopped late or he may survive and go to distance. I just don't think, moral of the story, I don't think he's going to be in the fight after the 6th round. I'm just putting that out there. Okay. If he makes it to the 6th round. All right. That's how I believe this fight's going to go. And that's that. All right. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys being here. I am tired, bro. I finished a 12-hour shift, so I am tired. I just want to come on and just kind of do this really quick. Thank you guys for being here. As always, hit the like button. All right. And that's that. I don't know if we're going to get the undercard. There's some good fights on the undercard. I don't know if we're going to get it here in the States. Unfortunately, Showtime doesn't. When there's overseas fights, we don't always get those undercard fights. But there's some good fights there. But if it does go to Paramount Global or Sports, or it goes to Prime, BBC, maybe we'll get those undercard fights on those apps, hopefully. And this is an example of why I believe it will be better on one of those platforms than Showtime, right? Because we'll get those fights. Anyways, guys, I am out of here, man. I'm tired, all right? Steve Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. I'm out of here. Peace.